Listen very carefully. Right now, at this exact second, a silent predator is living inside your wallet. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't take vacations, and it is siphoning exactly $216,000 out of your future wealth. You can't see it on your bank statement, and your financial advisor probably hasn't mentioned it, but it's there. It's the invisible wall between the life you are living and the life you actually earned. To understand how to tear down this wall, you have to look at the tale of two brothers, Alex and Ben. They are identical in almost every way. They grew up in the same house, attended the same university, and today they even earn the exact same salary, $85,000 a year, working at the same company. Last month, they both decided it was time to buy the exact same car, a $50,000 SUV. They walked into the dealership together. They signed the same papers, but when the finance manager came back, the reality of the matrix hit. Alex walked out with a monthly payment of $750. Ben walked out with a payment of $1,150. Same car, same income, but Ben is paying $400 more every single month for the next 7 years. Over the life of that one loan, Ben will hand over an extra $33,600 to the bank for the exact same piece of machinery. But the car was just the beginning. When they went to buy their first homes, Ben's mortgage interest rate was 2.5% higher than Alex's. His monthly housing cost was $1,200 higher. By the time these two brothers reach retirement, Ben will be over $200,000 poorer than his brother. Why? Because Ben has a credit score of 620 and Alex has a 760. Most people look at that and think, Ben must be irresponsible. That is the first lie of the system. The truth is that Ben isn't irresponsible. He is just uninformed. He is paying an information tax. He is trapped in a slow-moving system designed to profit from his patience. In the next 20 minutes, I am going to show you how to hack the 680 trap. We are going to stop following the standard advice that takes years to work. Instead, I'm going to reveal the Credit Capture Toolkit 3 legal high-speed strategies that can jump your score by 140 points in as little as 90 days. We are going to deconstruct the algorithm, master the dates the banks use, and look at the architectural flaws in the system that you can use to your advantage. Your credit score isn't a grade on your character. It's a game with a specific code. And today you're finally learning how to read it. Before we can bypass the system, we have to understand why it exists. Most of us were raised to believe that a credit score is a financial health report. We think that if we work hard, save money, and have a healthy emergency fund, our score should naturally be high. But the Matrix doesn't care about your savings account. You could have $5 million in cash sitting in a safe under your bed, and if you have no credit history, the system will flag you as a high-risk ghost. In fact, the term used in the industry for someone with a high net worth but no credit is a no-hit profile. To the machine, you don't exist until you are in debt. Your credit score is actually a reliability prediction model. Companies like FICO use a proprietary algorithm to answer one specific question for a lender. What are the statistical odds that this individual will fall 90 days behind on a debt payment within the next 24 months? That's it. It's a cold, mathematical calculation of risk. But here is the part the banking industry doesn't advertise. The system is highly efficient at maximizing the interest spread. They aren't looking for the most responsible people. They are looking for the most profitable ones. Think about the tiers of credit. If you have a perfect 850 score, you are what the credit card companies call a deadbeat. That's the real industry term. Why? Because you pay your bills in full, you never pay late fees, and you're too savvy to pay 24% interest. You are expensive to maintain, and you provide a low return for the bank. On the other hand, if your score is 500, you are a total loss. You might default on the entire loan, and the bank loses its principal. They don't want you either. The golden profit zone for the financial system is the 640 to 680 range. If you are in this bracket, you are the most profitable asset in the bank's portfolio. You are reliable enough to keep working and paying your bills, but risky enough on paper that the bank can legally charge you the highest possible interest rates. The system uses batch processing, a slow, archaic method of reporting data once a month to ensure that even when you improve your habits, it takes months or years for the machine to acknowledge it. They want you to stay in that middle zone as long as possible because every month you spend with a 670 score is another month of pure profit for them. Maya, an ordinary woman stuck at a 621 score, realized she didn't have to wait for the ocean liner to turn. She realized that credit scores are dynamic, not static. She found 3 speedboats built into the FICO code that allowed her to bypass the years of waiting. To understand how she did it, we have to look at the first pillar of the algorithm. The most powerful weapon in the credit capture toolkit is a concept called the legacy transfer. In the industry, it is known as authorized user trade lines. To understand why this works, imagine you are a 22-year-old trying to get a job at a top law firm. The firm says, we only hire people with 20 years of experience. Obviously, that's impossible for you. This is the exact same barrier people with thin files or young credit histories face. But there is a massive glitch in the system that dates back to the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. This law was originally passed to help stay-at-home spouses. Back then, if a husband had a credit card and he passed away, the wife often had 0 credit history and couldn't even rent an apartment because her name wasn't on the primary accounts. The law, specifically under Regulation B, forced banks to allow spouses to share credit history. But the algorithm is blind. It doesn't know the difference between a spouse, a child, or a friend. The code. When a primary account holder adds you as an authorized user to a specific credit card, the entire history of that account, including its age, its credit limit, and its perfect payment track record, is cloned and merged into your credit profile. Maya reached out to her father, who had a credit card he had opened in 1995. The card had a $20,000 limit and a flawless 30-year history of on-time payments. When her father added her, Maya didn't need to spend a single dollar or even receive the physical card in the mail. Within 45 days, Maya's credit report was scanned by the Matrix. The computer didn't see Maya got a card today. The computer saw Maya has been successfully managing a $20,000 credit line since she was in elementary school. Overnight, her average age of accounts tripled. Her total available credit jumped from $1,000 to $21,000. This single move solved the 2 most difficult variables of the FICO score instantly. Maya's score jumped 78 points in her first billing cycle. The elite strategy. You are looking for a donor account. This account must have 3 specific traits. 1, it must have 0 late payments in its entire history. 2, it must have high age, ideally 10 plus years. 3, it must have low utilization under 10%. By piggybacking on this legacy, you are effectively downloading 20 years of financial reputation into your own file. It is the ultimate shortcut, but it carries a risk. If that primary holder suddenly goes into debt or misses a payment, that financial infection will spread to your report too. You are merging your identity with theirs in the eyes of the machine. This is why you must vet your donor account with the same intensity as a private investigator. The second tool is the most common reason why responsible people are stuck with mediocre scores. I call it the snapshot hack. Have you ever paid your credit card bill in full every month, yet wondered why your score never goes up? This is because of a fundamental misunderstanding of how the Matrix sees your debt. Most people only care about one date, the due date. They think, if I pay by the 25th, I'm being a good student of the system. But the credit bureaus don't care about your due date. They care about the statement closing date, which usually happens 20 to 25 days before your bill is due. Think of your credit score as a random drug test for your money. The bank takes a digital snapshot of your balance on the closing date and beams that number to the bureaus. Let's look at the math. If you have a $2,000 limit and you spend $1,800 on groceries and gas, and your snapshot is taken on the 5th of the month, the bank reports that you are using 90% of your credit. Even if you pay that $1,800 in full on the 25th and never pay a cent of interest for the next 30 days, the algorithm flags you as financially stressed. Your score can drop 60 points in an hour for a debt you've already paid off. The solution: you must become a ghost in the machine. 1. Log into your credit card portal and bind your statement closing date. 2. Set an alarm for 3 days before that date. 3. Pay your balance down to exactly 1% or 2% of the limit. Why not 0? Because the matrix is counterintuitive. If you show 0% utilization across all your cards, the algorithm thinks the cards are dormant or inactive. It doesn't give you points for responsibility because you aren't demonstrating the ability to manage an active balance. But if you show a balance of $10 on a $1,000 limit, the machine flags you as highly disciplined and active. By simply moving her payment date up by 2 weeks, Maya's reported utilization dropped from 45% to 1%. Her score jumped 40 points in 30 days. She didn't spend less money, she just learned when the camera was flashing and made sure she was ready for the photo. This is pure synchronization with the algorithm's reporting cycle. You are essentially telling the machine exactly what it wants to hear, exactly when it's listening. What if you don't have 90 days? What if you found your dream home today, but the bank tells you your score is 695 and you need a 700 to save that $216,000 gap we discussed? Normally, when you make a change like paying off a collection or reducing a balance, it takes 30 to 60 days for that data to crawl through the system. This is the slow lane. But there is a VIP fast lane hidden inside the mortgage industry called rapid rescoring. This is a professional service that is only available through a mortgage lender. You cannot do this yourself at home on a website. If you have physical proof that a debt has been paid or an error has been corrected, your lender can send that proof through a dedicated priority encrypted portal directly to the credit bureaus. Instead of waiting 2 months, the bureaus are contractually required to update your score in 72 hours. Why hasn't your bank mentioned this? Because rapid rescoring is a manual process that requires extra work for the loan officer, and the bureaus charge the bank a fee, usually between $30 and $50 per account. Most big banks would rather you just take the higher interest rate because that makes them a fortune over the next 30 years. It's a conflict of interest that costs you a house. To hack this, you have to be your own advocate. You walk in with your proof of payment and you say the magic words, "I have proof of my new balances." I want a lender-initiated rapid rescore. This is how you force the matrix to match the speed of the modern world. It is the ultimate manual override for your financial life. This is not a dispute. It is a verified update of the data stream. It's the difference between losing the house and moving in next week. There is a final secret Maya learned that separates the high-score amateurs from the high-profile pros. It is the difference between a thin file and a thick profile. A thin file is someone who might have a 780 score, but they only have one credit card with a $500 limit. To the FICO algorithm, this person is like a student who got an A+ on a one-question quiz. It doesn't prove anything. A high score on a thin file is fragile. One small mistake and the score will collapse because there is no depth of data to support it. The matrix rewards profile thickness. It wants to see that you can handle different types of financial energy. There are 2 main types of credit. 1, revolving credit, like credit cards where the balance goes up and down. 2, installment credit, like a car loan, student loan, or mortgage, where you pay a fixed amount every month. If you only have revolving credit, your score will eventually hit a ceiling. To break through, you need credit mix. But what if you don't want to buy a car or take out a high-interest personal loan? Maya used a self-lending strategy. She opened a credit builder account through a specialized credit union. Here is how it works. You borrow $1,000, but the bank doesn't give you the money. They lock it in a savings account for you. You pay them $80 a month for 12 months. Every single month, they report to the bureaus that you made a perfect installment payment. At the end of the year, they unlock the account and give you the $1,000 back minus a small fee. You are essentially renting a perfect loan history. By adding this installment account to her revolving cards, Maya's profile became thick. The Matrix saw a sophisticated borrower who could handle both types of debt. This gave her score the final 15 points and the stability it needed to stay in the mid 700s, even when she used her credit for a major purchase. She didn't just have a high number, she had a financial fortress. Before you can build a skyscraper, you have to clear the land. The Matrix is prone to glitches. According to a landmark study by the Federal Trade Commission, 1 in 5 people have a material error on their credit report that is dragging their score down. That means 20% of you watching this are currently paying that shadow tax, not because you did something wrong, but because a data entry clerk made a typo. Maybe a medical bill you already paid is still showing as a collection. Maybe a debt belonging to someone with a similar name has been merged into your file. Checking your score on an app like Credit Karma is not an audit. Those apps use a different scoring model called Vantage Score, which many mortgage lenders don't even use. You need to pull your full credit reports from all 3 bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, at least once a year. This is your legal right under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. If you find an error, do not just dispute it through the online portal. Those portals are often handled by automated bots that are programmed to reject your claim with a generic, verified response. You need to send a certified letter with physical proof. Under the FCRA, the bureaus have 30 days to investigate or they must delete the item. Auditing your data is the only time the system is forced to admit it's wrong. Correcting a single ghost debt can result in a 50-point jump in a single week. Treat your credit report like a business owner treats their balance sheet. Audit it with zero tolerance for errors. You are the CEO of your own data profile. If you don't manage it, the bank will manage it for you. The Matrix rewards the assertive. Most people spend their lives waiting for the bank to offer them more credit. That is a mistake. To lower your utilization ratio, that 30% of your score, you don't always have to pay down debt. You can also increase your limits. Every 6 months, you should perform a self-correction protocol, log into your credit card portals, and request a limit increase. The secret here is the soft pull. Before you click the button, call the bank or check the fine print to ensure it won't be a hard inquiry. If they can increase your limit based on a soft pull of your data, there is zero risk to your score. If you have a $5,000 limit, and you spend $2,000 a month, your utilization is 40%. If you get that limit raised to $10,000 while keeping your spending exactly the same, your utilization instantly drops to 20%. You just manipulated the math of the algorithm without spending an extra penny or changing your lifestyle. You proved to the machine that you have access to more power, but you have the discipline not to use it. This is the paradox of the Matrix. To get the most credit, you must prove you don't need it. High credit is the lubricant that makes the engine of wealth building spin effortlessly. When the cost of borrowing drops, the speed of wealth creation accelerates. Let's talk about the mindset shift required to truly master this system. You have to stop looking at a credit score as a grade and start looking at it as the cost of capital. In a capitalist society, the person with the lowest cost of capital wins. Think about Ben and Alex again. Ben is working 40 hours a week, but 10 of those hours are dedicated solely to paying the extra interest his low score created. He is working for the bank. Alex is working the same 40 hours, but because his cost of capital is low, his money stays in his brokerage account compounding at 10% a year. Alex isn't working harder. His financial velocity is simply higher. Every dollar he earns moves into assets that grow his wealth, while Ben's money moves into the bank's vault. The goal of the 90-day reset is not just to buy a house or a car. It is to lubricate the engine of your entire financial life. When you have a 760 plus score, you are no longer a victim of the system's rates. You are a client they are fighting to keep. You move from the payer side of the ledger to the owner side. This is how the ultra wealthy stay wealthy. They don't use their own money. They use other people's money at the lowest possible cost. A high credit score is the only legal way to buy millions of dollars in assets with zero interest or ultra low rates. It is the foundation of financial sovereignty. It is the key that unlocks the door to the top 1%. We are back in that bank office. 90 days have passed since Ben first walked in. He sits down in the same chair as before. He is the same man. He has the same job. He has the same income. But because he learned the code, because he used the credit capture toolkit, the numbers on the screen have changed. The loan officer looks at Ben's 761 score and his entire demeanor shifts. The pity is gone, replaced by professional deference. He isn't offering a 7.2% rate anymore. He clears his throat and says, well, since you're in our premier tier, we can actually offer you a rate of 4.7%. That simple shift saves Ben $600 every single month. Over the next 30 years, that is $216,000 that stays in Ben's pocket instead of the bank's. Think about what that money represents. That is the price of his freedom. That is the money that will pay for his children's college education without debt. That is the capital he will use to start his own business. That is the wealth that will allow him to retire a full decade earlier than his brother Alex. The system wants you to be a payer. It wants you to stay confused, stressed, and passive, accepting whatever number a computer gives you. It wants you to believe that credit is a mystery that only they understand. But now you know the truth. You know that your score is not a judge of your soul. It is a game. And you have been losing only because nobody told you the rules. Now that you have the toolkit, the game is officially yours to win. You now have a choice. You can click off this video and go back to the slow lane, waiting for years and paying the shadow tax. Or you can take the red pill, apply these capture tools, and watch your financial reality change in the next 90 days. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been denied a loan or hit with a high interest rate because of a number on a screen? How did it feel? Tell your story below. I'll be reading as many as I can to help you navigate this toolkit. Remember, your income is your choice, but your credit determines the cost of that choice. My name is Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.